Alright guys, I hope you all had time to read the disclaimer, so we're gonna get right into it. Hello everybody, welcome back to another weekly market review, and in this video we're gonna be going over what we predict, what our predictions for dollar, bonds, US 100, pound dollar and euro dollar is going to be. So last week, the main one we predicted was going to come true. What come to fruition was US 100. So we predicted it going into the weekly volume imbalance, this fair value gap. So that is included within this fair value gap. Went to 50% of it and then started heading lower. We didn't think it was going to take that for that week, but got close to it, which we wanted to see. So this coming week we'll potentially see it come up into the low of here, or 50% of the low of that wick from the open to the low. So 50% into there and then continue lower for US 100. What we see in dollar for now is it's broke out of this range. It's broke out of this range. Hasn't went to 50% of that range yet. Created equal lows, created a trend line that needs to be broken, because it ranged in there quite heavily. If it did want to go up there quickly, it would have done so, but this price action suggests that, alright, it's going relatively slow, so it would want to come lower, break these lows before looking to come back up into here, if it is going to do so. If it does decide to break that fair value gap, break these, we're going to be looking at these lows. So currently, as of yet, we would like to see it doesn't want to come back up one more time into here, to then take it lower into this fair value gap over here on the 1 hour. I'll show you on the 4 hour. This area, not only that, on the 1 hour we're looking at the high of the lowest candle. It would likely come up, come lower into here, but we do want it to reverse from that position. So yeah, that is our current stance on dollar. If that's going to happen on dollar, what's going to happen on euro dollar? Well, euro dollar, on the weekly anyway, you can see it went lower and it's ranged between that order block low and this fair value gap. We need to see, does it want to come back lower further into there? However, if it doesn't want to and starts rejecting off of the consequent encroachment, we may look to see it come up further higher, and then ultimately dollar would mean it taking these lows. So let's look on the daily. On the daily, you can see how that is the area you're predicting. We predict that it shouldn't go higher than that if it is still going to go lower, because that will be the high of the breaker involved. On the 4 hour, you can see that fair value gap that we're predicting, alright, could potentially go up into there. If it does, we'll likely see significant movement lower. If it rejects off of this and starts heading lower, pound dollar, yeah, with pound dollar you can see it went up here, but if dollar it's going to go lower, euro dollar is going to go higher. We need to see if this does decide to go higher, it may potentially, so let's put this as euro on 4 hour. You can see how if this is to go up into here, price for this might end up taking out the high. If it does reach up into there, then that would be where price is likely to then reverse from. However, if price is continuing bearish for, bullish for euro dollar, then we'll see it past this and then use it as an inverted fair value gap. So yeah, that is our current bias. Pound dollar, euro dollar, and dollar. The reason why we're going to go preferably trade euro is because it's got a clearer bias of where it's likely to draw to. So if it does come lower into here, then we'll likely see it reach up into there. So let's look at dollar, because it's going to be relatively the opposite of what's going to happen here. So here we don't see any balanced price ranges, so it has the potential to come up into there. So if it does come up into there, we'll then look to drop into here. If it respects here, what is given that better scenario is this daily, I believe it's a weekly actually, no, it's the daily, yeah, the daily inverted fair value gap. It used it here, went up, went lower, using it as a sell, but we do need to see, does it want to continue lower, because the higher time frame bias is bearish. It's just the fact that this is going opposing bias, and we want to see how far it can get up into there. So it might want to do that for, you can see April. So if it's starting to move lower and then higher, higher, higher a bit, and then for the Friday NFP to take it up higher, and then potentially start coming back lower, we may potentially start to see a reversal there for the week after, to hunt lows again, while sells for dollar, that meaning buys for a euro dollar, pound dollar. So yeah, you can see here no inverted fair value gap, so it's going to come lower, potentially into there. That's going to be the order block. From there, higher into this area. So that is what we are predicting. So now let's look at bonds as to the reasoning as to why that's what we're predicting. I don't know why it's like that, but if we go on the weekly, it went lower. On the daily, on the monthly, it's respected that balanced price range, so we would likely not see any further movement lower on a higher monthly perspective. But on a weekly perspective, you can see how it's went lower and it's starting to move up higher. What does that mean? Bonds is reaching higher, that means dollar's going to go lower. If it uses this next week to just come back lower into the 50% and then look to reverse, then we'll likely see the same scenario playing out here, but in reverse. So yeah, that is that. US 100, one final bit of thingy would be, let's look at the 3 month. 3 months about to end, and the 3 months looking as if US 100's gonna look to fall into around here potentially. You can see how there's nothing really until here. So if it does want to reach into there, it would likely reach into there, because of the 1 month. The 1 month, that would be 50% of that wick. So if it is looking to go higher, it's gonna look to go higher. But at the moment, it is bearish. Bearish until further notice. 1 week, like we said, potentially up into there, and start to look for this. It's too clean. Potentially see it come up into there. On the daily, however, this is a fair value gap, so potentially if we see that movement up a bit into there, come lower, that upward move would be the new order block that I would likely respect. If it breaks this and closes past that, we're likely to see a move up, respect the consequent encroachment, and start to head for that low. So yeah, that is what we're predicting. So yeah, we've run through all of the necessary stuff. Let's just look at the calendar to see what days would be likely to trade. So let's look at here. Monday, we've got Euro all day, but Monday might not be the best day. However, there is no bank holiday, and NFP, because NFP is on Friday, this one, we may see a bit of movement on that Monday and Tuesday, to then make it like range Wednesday. So let's look on the daily. If we see Monday come up like that, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday take it up higher. So let's move this. Monday, 24. Okay. Gonna move this to Monday, so Sunday, then it's gonna be Sunday then as well. So within this range, we got to see ideally Monday to end of Tuesday to start heading lower, high resistance lower. Then after it reaches here, it will be low resistance here, and it will then look to go higher. If it is gonna go higher, so Tuesday it has to start, ideally if it does reach here, it has to start coming up. For Wednesday, a nice optimum trade entry, because we've got this here. We don't trade that news or the Friday news because never really know what's going to happen, as in it can move too fast where our stop loss doesn't get triggered, which is bad because we'll risk more than we should. So you can see how this is likely to be taken, so it's probably going to go lower. Once it goes lower, we'll have to see, does it want to respect this level and start to show signs that it's reversing. If it does, then we'll potentially get into that and ride it past this, but because So if we get a good entry and it is moving up higher and higher, we'll potentially keep it. If we don't, then we'll cut it before NFP, let NFP do what it does, and then move on until next week. But yeah, those are the predictions. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to get notified on new weekly market outlooks. And yeah, peace out, stay notified so that you'll be updated on when I go live as well. So yeah, peace, safe in a bit.